what you say, the way you act. Well, it makes me so confused. I don't know what to do anymore. Can't you just make up your mind? My heart drops when you play around. How can you be up when I'm down? Don't wanna think about it right now. Maybe you just wanna be friends, but there is a fight when we are talking. Maybe you just wanna pretend, but I can read between the lines. Even if I can't deny that all the things you said are hurting, still wanna be with you. I think you want it too, 'cause baby I don't wanna be.
Anybody else dancing? I'm totally dancing. Hey everybody, it's Erin Reed from Erin Reed Makes, and welcome. Hey everybody, sorry about that gap in the lives. I'm usually in the producing end, I'm on the back end of everything, but Christy was unable to make it for her live today, so that's why there is a half an hour gap between the live just before me. So there was a half an hour gap between before I came on. But if you have any questions related to just any questions in general that you have for me or related to my card for the Card Maker Summit, I would love to know what they are. Just to show you, and I had to match, I'm in purple lately, lavender, whatever it is. So I had to match my my cards. See, there's a theme to the cards to what I'm wearing. So I love fun folds. And somebody made a comment. I was kind of looking at all of the items before that came on, and there was somebody said there's so much fun for the recipient when they get the cards because there's such a wow effect. There's something interactive about how they can open the card and just, you know, kind of be a part of it. And they sit really, really fun. Look how pretty they sit. They're just so cool. I love them. And so if they go on a mantle or if they just, you know, however you want to, and wow, that is really, really bright. Ooh, that's better. Okay, sorry, kind of like powered you out with the light there. All right, so I think we got some questions. Let's bring them on. You love my tutorial. Well, thank you so much, Carolyn. I appreciate that. I'm just looking down here to see the question. Now, I have a great way to use up my pattern paper without having to buy more stuff. Absolutely. That is one of my #1 things because I am a hoarder among everybody else in the crafting world that we love to collect. I feel like we are just the collectors of all thing craftiness. But we would love to use it too. Does anybody else get satisfied by like using up a paper pack or finally finishing that one last gem that you had on that sticker sheet or whatever it might be? I don't know, there's a sense of I used my money well. So these cards that I created for you, yes, you could absolutely do the exact same cards because you can get and print out the exact same card patterns, the printables, just cut them up and use them with your own white cardstock. So you can create identical cards to me. But if you've got super cute pattern papers at home or elegant or whatever, it's just the actual technique or the card, the fun fold that I'm instructing you. But you can take it in whatever direction. And I would love to see that you post them. So if you post them in the Facebook group, tag me. I'd love to see them. If you post them on Instagram or anywhere else, please tag me. Everything is Erin Reed Makes. I'd love to see them. What kind of paper do I print on? I have it right here. Let me grab it. I use this paper for everything. And I get this question every time because I always use some sort of printable. Ta-da! This is what I use. It's got the boxes on it. So it's Nina. I get it from Amazon. I buy them by the bulk. I use this for my card bases. I use this to print on. I use this to stamp and die cut. I even do some really basic Copic coloring or watercolor coloring. You don't want to overdo the watercolor or the Copic because it does have a little bit more of a bleed mark to it, and it will warp if you do too much to it. But pretty much for everything else, if I'm looking for a card base, if I'm stamping and die cutting out, if I'm adding layers, this is it. And I want to say it's like $17 for the entire thing. So if you screw up, you're not breaking the bank in terms of money. So this is my go-to. I love it. Love it. Love it. All right. What is my favorite fun fold? Ooh, I don't know. Anything that's fun and easy. I don't have a specific card type that I like as a fun fold, but the ones that are, they have a big wow factor, but it took me less than 15 to 20 minutes to make that card. Those are my favorites. I am a fast, fun, easy. I want to get in, I want to make, and I want to get out. I want that sense of completion and satisfaction without spending hours doing the same project. I'm not a quilter. I'm not a crocheter. I can't do anything that takes me way too much time because I can't. Too much. I'm in, I'm out. And so these ones, because they're just so simple, if I don't have to pull out a ton of different tools to create that project and it has this big wow factor like these ones, That's where I tend to go to. If it's got too many like layers and tweaks and things to it, then I have a hard time. I feel better calling it my resource center for I love that. It is my resource workroom. Yes, I call it my workroom for that very reason. But it's really, well, I mean, I do this for a living, but yes, it is my workroom, but it's my hoarding room. Shh. She's not a hoarder, but a prolific curator. I am a curator of all things crafty. Yes, I love that. Yeah, see, we're all in the same boat. We all love to have our items. And even if you're just starting, you still have, and tell me if I'm wrong, does anybody have like a box of stuff that, ooh, that's a cool package. I got to save that because I'm going to use that package for something, or that's a neat box, or, ooh, this texture is really cool. I'm going to put that. I have a whole 2 boxes full, and not just like little, like big boxes full of, I got to keep it just in case, or that jar is awesome. Anybody else? How do I come up with a design on your principles? Okay, this one actually has a very specific reason why the Axolotl made an impact this year. So my daughter is a Girl Scout, and every year for Girl Scouts and for cookies and stuff, there's always a theme, some sort of theme, and that's what all of the prizes are based on. And this year was the Axolotl. And not only my daughter, but all the girls in her troop were just going bananas over this. Comparatively, we've had foxes, we've had other animals in the past, we've had narwhals. The Axolotl, they went berserk. She has gone overboard. We're done with cookies this year. Thank goodness she reached her goal. Yes. But that was her theme. And so how excited she was on that. And I just saw her face light up. I'm like, what if I did an Axolotl collection? She's like, yes. So she was super excited. She's 11. And so that was where the color scheme, and then I just started playing with it. I'm like, what colors are axolotls? And they definitely have, like, there's the white ones, and then there are some fun colors that go along with them. And that's where the color scheme came from. But that's where the axolotl came from for this year. All right. How do you get your cards to have that wow factor? My folds don't usually pop to give that wow factor. They're duds. Don't ever call your work duds. Your work is amazing. Sometimes you just need a little bit of practice. And that's, like, I've been listening to all the other speakers, and Daniel says it great. You may not see it at first. Eventually it'll get there. I will create something, and here's a word of advice. Create it and put it away. Don't throw it away, put it away. Come back to it a week or 2 later, and you look at it through different eyes because it hasn't been in front of you. You're not the one. We always see every single one of our faults and every single thing that we did wrong on that card or in that project or in that piece of artwork. We see all the flaws and not the good things. So put it away and have fresh eyes on it in a week or 2. And you don't see the flaws as much. You tend to look at it as if it's a better, like it's not all the bad stuff you did. You're like, ooh, that looks cool. I like that. Another fun trick to make your card to go from kind of meh to upgrade a level is add layers. So in this paper right here, if you notice behind every one of my pattern papers, I have a solid paper before I get to the white. Just adding that one layer, and you can see it a little bit better right here, just adding that one little layer behind every single one of these really does make a difference in making all the cards pop and making your layers pop. So that's a really good way to kind of amp up your cards. Add another paper layer. Just one extra layer in there makes the world of difference. It doesn't look so flat, or as you called it, a dud. They're not duds. What is an axolotl? So an axolotl is a freshwater. It is actually an amphibian. It's probably closer related to a frog or a salamander, but it lives underwater. And so these little things right here, it's a little bit of a misnomer, but these are actually their gills. They're behind their neck, and they're really cute little creatures. It's spelled Axolotl. So it's with an A in the front. So it's ox or axolotl if you want to kind of go closer to that. But yes, they are a freshwater amphibian. They're super adorable. They have like this big wide mouth, so it looks like they're always smiling. They're small. They're like little itty bitty things. They like to live in areas where there's lots of like rocks and crevices that they can kind of climb into. And they have got 4 little legs, and they have a tail, and they can kind of swim, but they more kind of crawl around like a little salamander. But they're different than a salamander. They're an axolotl, and they can be found. I live in Central Texas, and we have them not too far from here, living in some of the freshwater springs down by San Marcos and New Braunfels and all the way down into Mexico. So the axolotl is actually from a Mayan term, I believe, or an Aztec term. All right, so hopefully that answered that question. Look them up. They're super adorable. Just coming on here, and I hope this wasn't asked, what is the most difficult card or project? One that takes me way too much time to do. That's what I am a fast, fun, and easy crafter. That is what I like to do. I like to get in. I like to get out. I want to have that sense of satisfaction, completion in a short period of time. Get all those happy feelings, all that rush, the endorphins from creating, because we all get that kind of, I did it. And I want it to be fun and easy and not feel stressful. So those are my difficult projects, are the ones that I overstress, overthink, and I'm just like, and I can't. I'm like, okay, I got to step away, because that's not the point of why I'm crafting and creating. I'm crafting and creating to feel better, to get that sense of ease and accomplishment and satisfaction. And so, yeah, most difficult, the ones that don't come easy. So I step away, and sometimes I sleep on it that night and I'm like, oh, epiphany, I got it. And then I've just figured out whatever it was that speed bump, that hurdle that made that thing hard for me. And I've just solved that problem. And you just may have to come back to it at a different time. All right. Can we sell cards from your designs? Absolutely. Just tag me. I mean, don't go in and replicate and print off my papers and claim that they're yours. But if you want to use my designs, any of my files that I have on my site, it does say on there can be used for commercial or, professional use or private use or personal use. So if you make cards and you happen to sell them at a craft show or something like that, absolutely. To tag me and show me where you're putting them out there. I'd love to see how you created using my designs. I would love to see that. It'd be really fun. I love how you're describing him with your entire body. Oh, thank you. I'm a marine biology at heart. That was what my degree was, and I did that for a number of years. But he's a cute little guy. My favorite animal is the nudibranch. And if you've never seen, they're saltwater, so they're in the ocean, and they look like little. They're not. Everybody calls them sea slugs. They're not sea slugs. They are little nudibranchs. And they're so brilliantly colored. They have sometimes these really big fans, so that might be a new collection coming. But if you ever imagine anything bright colored, and they're tiny, tiny, tiny. Dina Wakely, she goes diving too, and I've gone diving numerous times. I've never seen one in the wild. I love them. I've only seen them in pictures or at in an aquarium. She has the knack of finding these little suckers, which are my favorite sea animals in the world, and she gets them, and they're so tiny, tiny that I don't know how she finds them. I've gone diving thousands of times, never found one. I dive in the same places she dives, but she seems to find them. I need to find her trick. Do you create cards for future use or create for the immediate need? Both. So I usually I work with a number of companies, and so I am constantly creating cards and projects for these companies, either for long form videos, live videos, or reels. And so I'm always creating cards, and then I have a whole stash of them. And so whenever my kids need a card for birthdays, because I like to default to cards that can be used. So sympathy cards, my husband, he has for his work, he's like, okay, I need you to make 20 sympathy cards, because whenever there's, somebody who's sick or somebody who has passed, whether it be a niece, a father, a daughter, whatever, in his office, then they have a sympathy card, they can pass it around. So I'll do batches for him. But yeah, I tend to create what I have on hand, but I'll go with the go-tos for sentiments, Christmas cards, obviously, but birthday cards, sympathy cards, thank you cards. So whatever I'm creating for the companies I work with, I keep in my stash, and then, a year later, they're there ready to go. But I don't sit there and go, I need to make 20 of this, unless it's for my husband with the sympathy cards, because he wants them all at once. How do you score at 2 point? I don't. I will score. So if this is in inches, maybe that was a typo I put on my form. It is possible. So whenever I am scoring, I'll either do it at the 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, or 1/8 of an inch. And so maybe I was trying to put 2.25 and a 1 came in by accident. So it's 2 1/4, or 2 1/4. But I don't think I would ever score at 2.125. Oh gosh, that'd be tough. I don't think I could ever accomplish that. No, so all my scoring is at the 1/8 of an inch. So that wouldn't even be 2 point. What is an 1/8? How does that translate to a decimal? Shoot, I should know that. I know 2 1/2 is 2.5, 2 1/4 is 2.25. So that'd be 2.18575?
2.125.
So that's 2 1/8.
That's 2 1/8.
Okay. Okay, so 2 1/8. So when I'm scoring, let me grab my scoring tool. Wrong drawers. Too many drawers down here. Just wondering. That's probably, and I might probably did a typo for the 1, 2, 3. It should have been 1, 2, 5. So when I'm scoring and I do all my scoring, I do it on my ruler right here. So it would be at the 8th. So here's your half, here's a quarter, and then you've got the 8th. So that would be the 2.125 right there. Or, at this one. So that's not the longer ones, but it's the shorter ones. And heck, what's 1/16? Come on, Ardith, what's the math on that one? I should have just put fractions in there is what I should have done, and not had, put decimals. I'm sorry if I screwed that up for everybody. How do I store my scraps? Do you see the pile right there? That's where all my scraps go. If they're too small, they go in the trash. I generate too many cards and I have too much stuff to try and keep the tiniest little things. So what I will keep scraps of would be solid colors. If I've just printed off with my collection and I know I'm going to be doing some more projects, I'll keep some of those. White and black and craft, I definitely will keep small pieces of that. And I always would just reorder the exact same. I don't switch those per brand. I have my standard white, which is my Nina. I have a standard black that I use, and I have a standard craft, and I get them all from Amazon. So I'm never going, oh, that black's a little bit of a different shade, because I only ever use that one black for all of my card making. So I can grab whatever black that's in my stash and it'll work with whatever card I'm working with. So I'm not, the other papers or pattern papers, those I use are brand specific. But yeah, that's the paper stash right there. And if it gets too full, I pull it out, I purge, clean it all out, and I stuff it back in there. But that's as busy as I get. If it gets any too much from that, then I will get rid of it. It's not worth it. Don't you use up your printer ink by the tons by printing out pattern paper? I only print to use. So I have the Epson printer that you can refill the cartridge. It's the Eco Tank, and it's, oh my gosh, I've printed so many sheets of paper that for like to go into kits, and it had like color images and color instructions to go with it. Or I was printing out color papers to go into the kit because I designed the papers that go into some of the kits that I sell. And so I have I got that a year ago, and I have printed a ton with that Eco printer, and I'm still on the first round of ink. I haven't even gotten halfway down. It lasts forever. It's great. But again, I only ever print what I'm using at that time. I don't get, for instance, if you downloaded my file, I wouldn't go just print it right away unless you plan on using it. So I save it as a file and I'm ready to use it at that moment. That's when I will print it. And I will print it on my cardstock. Not my cardstock, but the Nina cardstock. Do you create these ideas for how you make the folds, or do you mostly find them somewhere else? What is your favorite source? A little bit of everything. I don't think there's any one kind of craft that comes across that has not been, especially in card making, that has not been out there in another form or realm. Where I get a lot of my ideas is I host a card swap 2 to 3 times a year. We just had one that finished, and I see so many amazing cards coming in, and I put them on video. So if you want to get some amazing inspiration for Christmas cards, we just did a whole batch that was all about flowers. Then I do videos on the cards that get sent to me and call out the person who created them. And they have watched a plethora of different content creators and Instagram, or they've come up with stuff. And so I shout out to them when I've got the design. But so I will take samplings of things, all stuff that I've seen on Instagram, stuff that I've seen on Pinterest. I tend not to watch very many other YouTube content creators in my card making, crafting, because I don't want to feel like I'm copying them. Because I don't want them to feel like, oh, she just watched my video and she made the exact same video. That's not, so it's whatever seems to fit for that moment. I'm like, ooh, that would be a fun design. And I might take that design and tweak it and make it my own and alter it. And when I go back to Art of Slimes, it's the same thing. You kind of take what you see and you modify it and you add your own tweak and spiel and your own little, essence to the whole thing. So nobody out there has ever created the wheel on this, I would say, because it's all been done before, but it's just your spin on it. So I hope that answered the question. All right, time to wrap it up. Wow, it goes so fast. I always tell all my people when I'm on the back end that, man, it goes lickety split, and it sure as heck does. Now I got to get ready for the next speaker behind me. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you have any other questions, and if I didn't get to any questions, and I'm telling all of the speakers this just as a heads up, within a day or so, The speakers will be coming back to the YouTube channel, on Brandy's YouTube channel. And so on the replay, all these lives are available on the replay. So you can go down below and we will answer the questions that we didn't get to during the lives. And so if your question was not answered by us while we were live, then we can always go back in the comments a day or two later and they should have the answer there. And you can always ask further questions in the comments after the lives are over as well. If you're like, oh shoot, I meant to ask for something, you can ask there or in the Facebook group. Happy to help. So thank you everybody. I will be watching all of your questions on the back end for the rest of the weekend, except for Sunday. Ardith is taking over on Sunday, but having a wonderful, wonderful time. Tag me if you use any of my stuff, and I will see everybody again later. Bye-bye.